to the legends of the creative and entertainment industries. We talk to those on the rise. Lance Dean Anthony Nielsen asks about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. This is Outcast Creative, and this is Industry Interviews.
Hello and welcome to Industry Interview 87, 13 away from 100, still going strong. We've got a couple more later on this week. But tonight I've got a very special guest. I truly love backing the truly independent filmmakers, the people that have the passion to go out and create. They have a vision, they'll go and make the film, whatever the budget, whatever they can raise. And one such man who did exactly that is Michael. I'm going to let him pronounce his surname in case I get it wrong. How do I pronounce your surname?
Haberfellner.
Haberfellner. Okay,
Yes.
Michael Haberfellner. Welcome to the Outcast Creative channel. Thank you so much for being on. My apologies for being late. I wrote the time down incorrectly on my calendar, so we ran a little bit later than usual. But thank you so much for giving up your time and coming on. Your last film was There's No Such Thing as Zombies. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So normally I'm talking to, on the channel, I speak to a lot of directors, often actors and such, but we've had Gail Ann Hurd on as a producer, but I haven't had many independent producers on who just produce, they don't direct. I think I've had a couple of producer directors. Is that, what is it about that for you that you don't want to direct, you just want to produce, and you also wrote the script for this particular film as well?
Well, it's basically I'm a writer first, so
Right.
I have a very big passion for writing, and and the producing, I just fell into that really, because like I had this script for There's No Such Thing as Zombies, and originally somebody else was to produce it and to direct it and blah blah, but they all broke away. So I just thought, no, I still gonna do it. I'm just gonna produce it myself, and but I don't have the expertise to direct it. So I don't know much about, cameras or how to direct actors. This is all features I can learn, but I was pretty much forced to just do it.
So you became a producer, you were a writer first, but you became a producer by necessity.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I've been in that situation many times myself. Now, before we get further into your career, just having established that, if you've seen any of my other interviews, I always do a few quick round questions just to get a sense of your own cultural upbringing where sort of cinema and television was concerned. So there's no right or wrong answers here. Just tell me the first thing that comes into your head. So can you remember the very first film that you saw on the big screen at cinema as a kid?
On the big screen, I have to say it was a Smurfs movie. So, I was a kid.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too taken by that. My second movie was The Jungle Book, the Walt Disney movie, which I watched only a few years back, and I thought it was still a good movie.
Yeah, no, the snake is still quite creepy even now.
Exactly.
What was the last film you saw on the big screen?
Oh, what was that? That's a good question. It was called Emilia Perez.
Tell me more, because I'm not sure I'm familiar with that film.
Yeah. That's about this big ass Mexican gangster boss who suddenly decides on a sex change.
Oh, okay.
and it's a gangster movie. It's a musical. It has queer content in there. It's very unique.
All right. Well, that might be one that I'll have to track down.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say for you? Because you're not living in the UK. You're in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Austria.
In Austria.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, I imagine now you've got all the same streaming services as the rest of the world. But if we go back a little bit, I'm not sure how much Western television dramas you get. But what would you say since the year 2000 has been a defining television drama show for you that you had to binge watch it? You had to see everything. You had to find out what happened.
Oh, good God. I don't know. I'm not that big on binge watching TV actually. So serious.
Has there ever been a series that you have watched that you've thought I've got to see this all the way through?
Well, I mean, now I have to. Yeah, I mean, I've watched all the Star Trek, the classic one, or like Battlestar Galactica.
The reboot or the original?
Originals. I love these, kind of campy old movies.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say the reboot TV series for Battlestar Galactica is pretty good.
Everybody said so. Yeah. No, I definitely want to watch it, but just didn't get to it yet.
Well, you can probably pick up a really good DVD box set of it at a secondhand, one of those secondhand stores, probably for just like a few euros now.
Probably, yeah.
Do you have a favorite movie that is in your collection that you watch at least once a year?
I think it might be Star Crash. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah, my friend Retro Nerd Girl on her channel has done a whole stream about that movie.
Oh yeah. It's so it. It's terrific. It's really, and I mean it's stupid, but you're still drawn to it, and it kind of it does much more to me than Star Wars does.
I'll never forget the scene where they fire those sort of torpedo things.
Oh yeah.
At the ship, and these guys come out with laser guns, and I'm like, there's two of them in each one, and I'm like, hang on a minute, you just come through the wall of the ship. Haven't you heard of space and space vacuums? Like, what's going on here? Wasn't very realistic in that sense, but it's quite fun seeing a Michael Hasselhoff with a lightsaber.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great answer. That's not a film we've had selected in that category before. Do you have an actor or actress, can be from anywhere in the world, that you'd love to see playing a role in one of your scripts who you have not worked with yet?
Good question. I'd have to actors. I mean, there are sort of many, but then again, there's nobody I would want to work with more than any other or stuff. It's
well, just like mention one that you don't have to put them in front of anybody else, but maybe one who, if you had the chance, I'd quite like to work with so and so.
Well, since I already mentioned Star Crash, I mean, I would love to work with Carolyn Monroe.
Oh, yeah, she's my favorite Bond girl from Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh yeah. So
as Roger Moore says, nice craft, such lovely lines.
Yeah.
one of my favorite lines in the movie, actually.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of your career. We briefly covered how you sort of de facto became a producer, but let's go back to the writing, which is obviously your primary passion. And Wormy Spoons in the chat, by the way, says, Michael, if you like science fiction, you could try Raised by Wolves. That's a good sci-fi show. It is good. It is a good show. It is a good show. Gooch is in the chat. Is another guy with a great channel. Also does interviews.
Hey.
So yeah, Gooch, I'm sure Mike will be willing to come on your channel to talk about his films. So get him even more exposure. Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning. How and why did you fall into script writing? Where did that start for you?
Well, I mean, it goes way back, like when I was in my early 20s, which I'm not anymore, or maybe even late teens, that I wanted to make something with films. And when you're young, you have all these projects that never come to anything.
Tell me about it.
So I have lists and lists and lists of projects that I never really pushed through. And then I was about not even 25 yet, and I thought I have to finish at least one script that actually can be filmed. So it can be filmed. I mean, can be filmed under budget. So
yeah, low budget.
And that was pretty much just 3 people in a room talking, and just one of them is a burglar, though. And it's kind of a very weird hostage situation where one's a burglar, one's tied to a chair, and the third person is the ex-girlfriend from the guy who's tied to the chair, and they have a conversation that it goes around everything, but never about the elephant in the room. That there's a guy with a gun and a tied up guy. So they start to quarrel with each other, but only about totally unimportant stuff. And but in their minds it's always this is what drives us.
So were you able to get that film made? Did that happen?
Yeah, actually, yeah, but it took me 17 years. So, because I wrote it and I thought, hey, actually, that's not too bad, but I should have real actors playing these roles. So, and back when I didn't know any real actors, and there was no internet, not only no social media, but I didn't have access to internet then or anything. So I just kept it in my drawers and thought about, one day I'm gonna make this. I just have to find the right person. And then I started doing my website, Search My Trash, which is about indie films, and got to know some people, and eventually an actress called Melanie Denholm came along, and she asked, do you have a screenplay with 3 persons and only one location? And I said, yeah, I have actually. And
that's exactly what I've got in the drawer.
Yeah, and I had it exactly in the drawer, and then it get made as a Killer of Conversation. I should probably see it got released.
Yeah. Oh, let me hold that up in the center there, and I'll just see if I'll enlarge you for a second. Let's have a look.
Yeah. Killer
Conversation.
Yep.
I quite like that cover.
Yes, pretty good.
So you were also effectively the de facto producer on that film, I'm guessing.
Actually, no, it was just the writer. And the actress I told you about, she produced, and she just said, come over, and hang out with us while we're filming this film. And I think we filmed it in 3 days, and it's a feature film. So that was kind of, stressful. But everybody.
I mean, it is possible if you plan it well. If you're just doing one location and there's like really long takes and stuff, that's not impossible. I've done it myself.
We should have taken longer, but I mean, it still turned out fine. But it could have been more. But, I think the actors were very good and worked with most of them again. So So
that film had a premiere, did it?
No, it just came out on DVD.
So what year was that was released?
Well, that was 2015.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And is this the lady that came to you and asked you for the?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's Melanie Denholm. Yeah, she was really good in that.
Very striking eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like an unpleasant position to be in. So what happened to the movie? It went out on DVD, and then was it just a case of okay, on to the next job?
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit it wasn't a booming success, but yeah, it's it's my first movie, and it got out on DVD, so I can't complain. It was really, and then I thought, yeah,
I mean, making any film at all, especially when you've got zero money,
exactly,
is very, very difficult. Then getting that film released is even more difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
And making the bloody thing. So, it's never to be sniffed at that you've, making a film and getting it released, regardless of how it's turned out, is of itself an achievement. So, whilst you were beavering away to become a scriptwriter, how were you supporting yourself on a day-to-day basis? Did you have a day job?
Yeah, and I still have a day job. I can't yet give it up,
What did you do? What did you do? What did you do back then, and what do you do now?
I'm still having the same day job. It's a company that sells heaters, industrial heaters, and I'm pretty much at the warehouse there.
So I'm guessing that's like a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
Oh, it's not a 9 to 5. No, it's a part-time job.
Oh, it's part-time. So that allows some. I suppose what I was getting at was my next question would be, how do you plan your writing days? How do you structure that to fit that around your job and the existing hours that you have to already work on the other job?
Yeah, no, mostly the mornings are free, so I do my work.
So when you get up in the morning, your brain's fresh, straight on the computer, do a couple of hours, smash out some pages.
Not every day. I should probably every day, but it's a ton of screenplays. I can't write anymore. No, that's
how many screenplays, unproduced screenplays, have you now written?
I think unproduced would be 10, maybe, or more.
Okay, so you've got a fair few in your stack.
Yeah.
And how do you, as a writer, how do you go about choosing the topics for your screenplays? Are you drawn to particular things that interest you, or are you more thinking, okay, I can't write anything too big because I probably won't get it optioned yet. I need to write something small like the first one you did. Well, what are the priorities? How do you pick the topics?
It's a little bit of both. Sometimes I really have to write something small, so the chances are higher to get it produced. But sometimes I just also go a little overboard because you never know what happens. So I'll try. I mean, I won't write a big budget fantasy 3-part epic because I know it won't be produced. So, but with other ideas, I try to go to the right size. If that makes sense.
So between those 10 scripts, how many different genres would you say you've covered?
I mean, many of them are comedy in one way or another, and many of them are horror in one way or another, or thriller in one way or another, or a mix of all of them. And one is pretty just surreal, which will probably never get made, but I was so happy writing it that I just threw all caution in the wind, won't be made.
So when you say it will you probably never get made, what are the obstacles to that as you see them?
Well, it's got talking animals, and it would need lots of CGI.
Right.
And would be a very big fair, and then it's not very mainstreamy. There are really weird stuff going on, and so I don't see it. I'm still positive. I'll definitely try to pitch it when I meet the right person. But it's not where people throw millions at you.
So what made you pick that particular topic, bearing in mind it's not mainstream and the post-production budget for visual effects would be pretty massive?
Actually, that was between me and actress Debra. We shot, ideas back and forth, and suddenly came up with this weird story about, this talking fish and talking dolphins and everything. And so eventually I just said, yeah, I'm just going to write it. Right. And everything else, we'll see.
How long from, this may be a different answer in every case, but let's say that your work patterns are typical. How long from, right, I'm going to write a script about this, does it take for you to go, okay, I've finished the first draft?
That's I don't think I can really generalize that. I mean, once I'm into the writing process itself, it's probably a month or less. But I only start writing once I've got the story in my head, and I know all the beats, and so that's a problem. I just have to think it up. And sometimes that goes pretty fast, and sometimes that takes a bit.
Do you do any planning or preparation before you do the start hitting the fingers on the keyboard? What I mean by that is some people, for example, do big postcard charts with all the scenes on, pin it to a wall, or post-it notes or whatever. Do you use any of those kinds of planning techniques?
No. I'm just need to thinking up here and see that I have a beginning, a middle, and end, and then it's pretty easy to hang the story onto it.
Okay.
So I often don't even make notes before I start writing. So,
well, I mean, sometimes if the concept and key scenes are really strong in your head, that can be, in my experience, that can be enough to get going.
Yeah.
Because once you've done a couple of scenes, then usually the next one's there, and then the next one's there, and
exactly,
before you know it, you're 2/3 of the way done. So, I mean, it all depends on how people like to work. Now, you wrote a number of, before you did your second feature film, the one that you also produced, which we'll come on to in a little bit. You've written 4 short films, which have all been made. So there was Talk of the Dead, which I'm guessing might have been some kind of almost mini prep for what would become, there's no such thing as zombies.
Totally, it was pretty much a proof of concept. And
I thought it might be.
From Talk of the Dead made it, there's no such thing as zombies. So the whole newsroom scene with Lynn Lowry was actually the short film. I just totally re-edited it, and we have a different background, but it was the same shoot.
Right. And then you did The Night Micah Came Back, First Impressions Can Kill, Ready for My Close-Up. So these are 4 films over about a 3-year period, which is pretty good. Were these different productions with different teams, or was this all you kind of being the driving engine and let's get something made? Okay, now let's make something else.
Let's see. Talk of the Dead and First Impressions Can Kill was pretty much the same team.
Right.
So it was me, director Eddie Bammeke, and Lynn, Lowry played the lead in most, and Luana Ribeira helped me produce it and also had a lead in both. So then ready for my close-up
go ahead.
Ready for my close-up, but that was a different team, but actually Lynn got me on board for that one because she wanted to do something in England and she just needed a writer. So she suggested the story, and then it happened from there.
So on the night Monica came back, which was in 2017. You worked with our good mutual friend Rachel Brownstein, who's a cracking actress.
Yeah, she's great.
Tristan Roberts. I think also was Lee Preston was in this one as well, wasn't he?
I think yeah.
Yeah, another actor I've met. And there's Luana Ribeira again. So talk us through this one.
Well, actually, it was more of a student's project, which Luana had. She had an acting school back when, and she was like, "Yeah, let's make this summer camp movie, pretty much, with some young actors and then some older actors," and shot it over 2 days actually. And Lawrence Harvey was in it too, from Human Centipede too.
Oh yeah.
So
there he is.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun to do, and because Luana just trusted me with what I wrote, which was new to me because I wrote lots of silliness, because I knew it was for children and or also for children. So I just put in silly stuff, and it still has this horror, framework with Lawrence Harvey is a scout leader who comes back from the dead 20 years later and is looking for his real killer because he's been killed by one of the children, and then 20 years later the children meet again at a spooky old house. And I mean, one of the problems was the grown-up actors didn't look like the child actors, so
right.
There was, but I didn't. Nobody really cared, actually.
I mean, when you've got limited budget, and I'm guessing the actors weren't being paid a whole bunch of money. No. It's not like you can get a casting director to come on board your film and say we need this and we need this, and
the other thing was they were all students from Luana's acting school. So she needed to have roles for all of them, and so we just went with these boys and girls and men and women, and they didn't quite match, but that was kind of one of the jokes we made, because
this actress has got her mean stare down to a pan.
She was brilliant.
Yeah. So this was shot in 3 days. What kind of budget were you working with on this? You said it was effectively a student film.
That I don't know because Luana was the producer on that one. So I didn't have an insight into that.
Oh, what's going on there? So were you on set when this was filming?
Actually, I was.
So, okay, so here's a important question. What was the catering like on the movie?
Oh, the catering was actually very good.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear that, because that's probably one of the most important things to get right on a low budget film where people are not getting paid much, working long hours. Don't go cheap on the catering. Get good food, get them a hot meal.
Catering was really top notch. It was all vegan. I'm not vegan, but it was really good vegan. So
my friend's wife is she's like an award-winning vegan chef now. Got cookbooks on all kinds of things. Yeah, Nadia Holmes is her name. Lovely, fantastic person. So you did this short. You did the one that was kind of a precursor to There's No Such Thing as Zombies.
Yeah.
You've got a couple of producer credits on films I don't think you wrote. Mother being one of them in 2020.
Yeah. Mother, I just paid into Indiegogo.
Oh, okay, it's one of those.
So it's I did this as a favor to Debra Lamb, who plays the lead in Mother. So
yeah, I saw that.
that
one
was
of
the
your
story behind it. Yeah,
regular collaborators. So with There's No Such Thing as Zombies was shot. It's listed as 2020, which of course, as we know, is the time of the pandemic. I'm just wondering, was it shot prior to the pandemic, and then you were in post-production?
Yeah. I mean, we had the first festival showing, but then the film wasn't finished. It was already in 2018, so there was no overlapping with the pandemic yet.
Okay, so you did a couple of shoots for it. The first one was in 2018.
No, first shoot was in 2015. That was the Talk of the Dead portion.
Oh, yeah, the short film.
Yeah,
but the bulk of the rest of the filming, when was that?
2017.
Right.
And we had a a pre-premiere, if you may, in 2018.
What's the pre-premiere?
Well, I mean, it's like it played at a couple of festivals, but the film wasn't. We reworked much of it. Like,
okay, so it was like a working cut, but it wasn't a final cut.
Yeah, it wasn't the final cut yet.
Yeah. So I do like this dress design, by the way, the butterfly. I think that's very effective.
Yeah.
So talk us through the filming process for the second half, the main shoot in 2017. How many days filming was there in total?
I think we had about 12 days, if I'm not mistaken. So, and fortunately, most of it was shot at one location. So that was actually the director's apartment. It was we had to film there because another location fell through. So we just dressed up his apartment as. And so that was pretty convenient in as much as we didn't have to travel much. And then we shot, the scenes with the DeLorean. That was shot outside of his house with Debra Lamb and Scott Hillier,
Scott Hillier is another actor that we both know.
Yeah.
He's got quite an intense presence on screen.
Oh yeah, totally.
Great face for playing villains and these kinds of characters. So what was so talk us through the process of, okay, so you had that location, you covered it with the director. What else happened?
Let me see. First 2 days were all the scenes of Scott and Debra, because we only had Debra over for 2 days. So we crammed all the scenes of their scenes in the 2 days, and then the main body of the screenplay, pretty much we always filmed one room at a time. So, but other than that, in chronological order, so the actors can stay in the in the right mindset. But of course, we first filmed all the scenes in the living room, then all the scenes in the bedroom, and then all the scenes in the hallway, or the other way around, actually. Yeah, but yeah. So
Wormy Spoons is asking in the chat, and I was going to ask this question myself, mate. Where the hell did a Back to the Future DeLorean come from? Yeah, how did you get that?
Well, it came from future, obviously. No, there's actually a car rental service in the UK that rents out these DeLoreans. So, where did he go?
So I'm still here. Don't worry. So
Yeah,
you got that for the day then, basically.
We got that for one day. Yeah. It was
Is that the company that like also rents out like the Batmobile and things like that? They've got a whole load of same one.
I don't think so, actually. But I mean, because this company is called Back to the Future Car Rental or something like that. Yeah. So
well, that's quite specialist. Wonder how much of a living they can make with that.
Yeah, they also got I think a Knight Rider car. They also have.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think it may well be the company that I'm thinking of. So
yeah.
Okay. So shooting on this wrapped in 2017. Talk us through how long post production happened and took, and what happened next.
Oh, post production took like forever. I mean,
doesn't it always?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much had dabbled a little bit in editing before that one, but this one was my first feature film that I also edited. And so
sorry, so you were the editor on the film?
I was the editor too, yeah. Because
what software were you editing on?
Final Cut.
Final Cut, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and there's what often happens is you always get a gremlin, as we call it, somewhere, where there's a frame missing or something just won't change.
Yeah.
It's always a nightmare to correct it, and you go back and forth and
talk about it. Yeah, no, but I mean, on the other hand, the software was pretty, it was easy to get into.
Yeah, this editing software is very accessible now, which is a good thing, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I had Talk of the Dead. I had edited and had edited by someone else, and they didn't do a very good job, I have to admit. I mean, after the fourth or fifth cut, it was okay, but I was not taken away by that. And then I thought, I mean, I could pay another editor again, or I could just buy everything myself and do it myself.
Right, and that's what you did.
Yeah, but then I hired somebody to do color grading, because I'm not very good at that, and also hired somebody to do the sound, because that's another thing that I'm not.
Yeah, the sound mix is very important.
Yeah, and so it took longer and longer that we would have wanted, but yeah, that's
so
nature pretty much.
When this film was finished, did it have a premiere or similar?
No, actually not, because I mean,
shot predominantly in the UK.
Yeah. Oh wait, no, actually we had. What am I talking about? We actually played in Cannes.
You played in Cannes?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was a market screening, so we basically had to pay for it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, playing your own film in Cannes is next level. So
I'm. So for anyone watching, there are 4 parts to the Cannes Film Festival, technically. You have the sales market, which is all the booths where distributors or film production companies are selling films, basically, and all the things that come along with that, various companies to do with tax incentives and things like that. So that's like the market. Then there's a thing called the Cannes Short Film Corner, which is not an official part of the festival lineup, but there's a process whereby you can have your short film screened there. There's a fee involved. And there's you get everybody going around saying, "Oh, I've had my film screened at Cannes." And it's like, well, in the short film corner, not quite the same thing as having your film screened at Cannes. And then there is the market screenings, which are specifically for buyers, which is what you're talking about, which are shown on bigger screens. You pay a bit more money. It's always for feature films. And my friend Mark Zammit had one for his film Homeless Ashes, I think, in one of the Cannes. So you had one of those. Was that well attended? How did you get people to go and make them aware of it?
Well, that was organized by our sales agent. So we already had a sales agent for the film, and
let's go back a bit. Then, how did you get the sales agent?
Yeah, I mean they just contacted us actually. So okay, so just want to be clear about this because it's always interesting to hear how these things work. Are you saying an existing sales agent became aware of your film and therefore approached you? Yeah. And, okay, so how did they become aware of the film? This I actually don't know. This because like they didn't ask.
I'm guessing something on social media, maybe, or something like that.
Very probably, yeah. But,
okay, so the sales agent who organised the Cannes screening, did they cover the fees of the Cannes screening, or did you guys have to cover that?
No, we covered that, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you've had the industry screening in Cannes. What's the what's the results of that? Did you get sales in territories? What happened next?
Well, pretty much next happened that we got on Amazon Prime and on Vimeo, so where you can pretty much buy or rent our movie.
Right. Okay.
So that's I think Vimeo is worldwide.
But couldn't you have done both of those on your own without the involvement of a sales agent?
I have to admit, probably yes.
So, aside from that, did the sales agent achieve anything else?
Oh, I don't think all that much, no. But
yeah, because
you only know afterwards.
It's there's a joke that goes around, says, how many sales agents does it take to change a light bulb?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they won't change it. They'll tell you to change it for them, and then they'll charge you a percentage for doing so. So,
yes.
It's hard. It's hard to get a good sales agent that will really go to bat for you.
Yeah.
Or that's really going to do any work. And I hear that's quite a common complaint in the industry.
True.
And
yeah.
And I think also they're going to be a dying breed, and they know it. That we go pretty soon. It's really the filmmakers are going to upload straight to streaming. There is going to be no middle person, and the revenue will come straight back to them. Sales agents in 10 years maximum will, I think, be a thing of the past, except in maybe some countries. Yeah, where that doesn't apply. All right. So, which year were you in Cannes?
Oh, that was last year, 2023.
Hang on. So, okay, wait, but was that the year that you did the screening for this movie?
Yeah.
Right. So the film finished shooting in 2017, and you said the post-production process took a really long time. Yeah. So was the film still in post-production through the pandemic then?
Yeah.
So you must have been in post-production then for, it's nearly 4 years, I think.
Yeah.
That's an insanely long amount of time. Is that because you're working other jobs, and editing is a very time consuming. It's also a very tiring process. You really have to concentrate all the time. So were you fitting it in as and when you could? So it wasn't like you had 4 years full time to work on the post production.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you said it went through with a different editor first, and you weren't happy, and so there were other delays there.
Yeah, and then the color grading that took time for another person. Then the sound took way too long, and pandemic didn't exactly speed things up.
No, I can imagine that caused a lot of problems.
So it was really, it is what it is.
This looks suspiciously like a writer's cameo in this picture.
It is, yeah.
Your beard is not yet blue in this. This is before the stressful 3 years of post production.
Yeah. I look younger, really fresh.
Mate, being in if you don't want to age quickly, don't get a job in the film industry, especially not as a producer or director or as a writer.
Absolutely.
So there's Debra Lamb and Scott. And then we have a whole load of people in this one, including Rachel Brownstein again.
Yeah, Lynn Lowry.
Let's talk about. I know you're predominantly a writer, but you were also pretty much the hands-on producer on this film. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the casting process. So you're a producer predominantly based in Austria. You've got a film that you're going to shoot in the UK with maybe half a dozen to a dozen parts of varying sizes. What did you do? Talk us through the casting process. How did you first advertise for cast?
Well, I mean, the first two, the two male leads who were already in Killer Conversation, that just took them over pretty much. And then Lynn Lowry, she just contacted me out of the blue, really, and asked, "Hey, have you got a part for me?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that could work." Then who else have we got? Yeah, Debra Lamb was a good friend, so I just, I knew she would do her role justice, so I just, it was a given to ask her. And for many of the other roles, I did, not live castings, but sending castings with the help of Luana Ribeira, who owned an acting school, so she knew people, and so when we put out notices, we just knew somebody would read them, and that worked out nicely.
So basically, it sounds like 50% of the cast came from sort of within your industry family or industry circle, people you'd either worked with before or had some sort of pre-existing relationship with, and then 50% of the remainder sent in what was the equivalent of a self-tape, I'm guessing.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I know that you went through a couple of different directors, so I'm guessing that the director that you end up with, I imagine the cast were probably already on board by the time your final director came.
Yeah, exactly.
So
the first director abandoned us 1 month before the shoot was to start. I already had paid the airfares for Lynn Lowry and everything. So and suddenly, he bailed out, and I just told Luana, find that director. We need to do that now.
Yeah, I mean, these things often happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a way, you were also effectively the casting director then of the film, because you weren't using a casting director.
Yeah.
So with the self-tapes, i.e. not the people you already had an existing professional relationship with, what were you looking for from the actors on the tape? What kind of qualities? What would make somebody stand out?
Depends on. Rachel Brownstein, she just stood out. With her, I say she was just like, when I saw her, I said, yeah, okay, we don't need to see any others. So, because she brought, just the right energy to the role. And let's see who else. Yeah, same with the news show host, Alexander Fernando. He also had this seriousness. He's like the more relaxed, and she is the more energetic. So you saw how that could work already without them ever having met each other. And then there's Paul Sutton, who was, I knew him from before, but he still auditioned. And he was also reading for the news host, and that didn't work out at all. But then he auditioned for the Zombie Hunter, and it was brilliant.
Right, that is funny actually. Yeah, it's quite common that somebody comes in to read for one part, you think they're going to be perfect for, and then it's like, oh no, they're not really working for that. Maybe they should read Bob, and suddenly they're great for Bob. Yeah.
That was pretty much for Paul. It was like that.
Right. Yeah. So, Rachel Brownstein is incredibly photogenic. She's got a great presence, in the same way that Scott's got a great presence. Had you worked with Scott before? Was he on your radar, or did he audition?
No. Well, he was. He was friends with the director, Eddie Bammeke.
Okay.
So Eddie just said, "Hey, I got this great guy who could play that agent." And then, okay. I think Scott did send in an audition tape, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could see something, so you didn't have to just take his word for it.
Yeah. But I could see that work immediately, and I think it's also, he doesn't do much comedy, does he?
No, he's predominantly plays villains.
Yeah. So this absolutely daft guy that he plays in that movie, it was like, it just fit.
So, how many crew did you have on a daily basis on the shoot?
Let me see. Well, cinematographer and soundman were there all the time, and then on most days we had runners, but we had to keep it relatively small because there was just one apartment. You had to fit us all in.
Yeah. So you're talking micro budget size crew between 6 to 8 people.
Yeah.
Presumably a makeup person for your.
Oh yeah, makeup. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
One makeup person.
One makeup person. Yeah.
One makeup person. Director, you being de facto producer, and then you would have had the DOP. Did the DOP have a camera AC, or was the DOP a one man team?
It was just one man. One man team.
Well, at least it keeps the cost of the catering bill a bit cheaper when there's less mouths to feed. What was the biggest challenge during the shoot?
The biggest, I always say everything. No, but it wasn't really rather laid back shoot, I have to admit. There were no real dramas. It was, the crew got along relatively well, and we had one day we had rained out, so because I wanted to do a garden party scene, that's the scene at the beginning, the 6 months prior scene, that was supposed to be a garden party, and then it just got rained out. So we all moved it inside and stuff. So that was, didn't work as great as it could have been, but what can you do?
So what would you say, having gone through this and done the thing with the sales agent and taking it to Cannes, all of that, as a de facto producer, not by choice, on the movie, what are the key things that you think you've learned about making and selling a film?
For one, we already talked about sales agent and stuff. That might have been, next time we will make adjustments, let's say it like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Making a film, first I learned to delegate. And so, but it's also, you need to have a good crew that you see, gets along with one another.
Yeah.
So, it's all obvious things that I'm telling you now. I know that, but it's still.
Well, this is all with the perspective of hindsight, of course.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
That's why this comes under what are the lessons learned,
Yeah. And then about post-production, I just learned I can't do everything myself. Because I went into this with I can do the movie, I can do the sound, and I have no idea about sound mixing and stuff, and I can do color grading. And again, it wasn't as good as it should have been. So those are the things you really gradually learn. I think the edits as such is quite okay. I'm happy with that, but it's just that I had to I should have probably given it to a color grader and a soundman sooner than I did.
Right,
and
so
then
it wasn't so much pressure in terms of time.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it took so long, because we had the first cut that went to festivals, and then I said, but it doesn't look as good as it should, and it doesn't sound as good as it should, because there's only so much I can do, and sometimes you need a profession.
You've got another job, and you're also doing this on a side. And as we know, doing this kind of job, it's a vacuum. It's a vacuum of time. It's like a vortex. It sucks time out of your life. How do you manage an effective life-work balance?
Well, it's actually, it's like making movies and stuff. That's what makes me happy. So that actually helps with my work-life balance.
Right.
So I'm never as well, maybe not happy, but I feel really good on a film set, so I'm not.
Yeah, no, I get that completely. I'm the same.
So
and we don't get to spend as many days on one per year as we would like.
Absolutely, yeah. So
okay, so this film's done. It's out there. People can watch it on Amazon Prime and also Vimeo. So what's happening now? What happened in the immediate aftermath of this? What are you working on presently?
Presently we're working on. Well, we're in pre-production, so I can't tell you when it's actually gonna go into production. But Eddie Bammeke, the director of There's No Such Thing as Zombie, and I are working on a gangster movie.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just hoping for the best.
When you say it's a gangster film, I know you don't want to say too much about it, but is it contemporary, as in present day.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
and how is the funding in place? Where are you kind of at with it?
No, that's the thing, because it's like it's gonna be a bigger budget movie, and we're gonna see when and how we gotta get the funding, but we're working on it. So let's see.
That's always that's always the difficult part of making a film, is getting the money is the hardest bit.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's unfortunately everybody will tell you the same on that question. And but let's see, even if we can't make that immediately, as I said, I had 10 scripts or so in my drawers, so maybe something else comes to the fore. It's we're gonna see how things develop, but I mean, we're not idle. That's the main thing, and something will happen in the maybe not short term, but maybe not all that long term.
Near future, we like to say.
Yeah.
If let me pose a different question before we begin to wrap up. If let's pretend, because everyone likes to pretend in this industry. That's
absolutely.
Sure. Let's pretend that I'm an investor and I come to you and I say, okay, Michael, I'm going to give you £10 million to make a film. Which of your 10 scripts sitting at home are you going to make, and what's it about? Pitch it to me.
Yeah. Well, 10 million. Oh, I could do a lot with that money.
I know you could. You could make Titanic 2 with that money, without Leonardo DiCaprio or Kate Winslet in it, because that'd be all of their wages.
No, I've got a couple of somehow animal-themed horror comedies that could be easily done with that budget, but that are a little bit effects heavy. Not as heavy as the one I told you before, but the one has a talking horse in it, so it's obviously a horror film. And
my immediate thought there went to Mr. Ed. Okay, so the talking horse is a horror film.
Yeah. That was actually the idea behind it, but it's not really. It's not a one-on-one adaptation of Mr. Ed as horror. It's just, we were just talking about a talking horse in the horror film, and
right.
So at first I thought it was a bad idea, and then I had more and more ideas how that could actually work, and now it's a full script, and 10 million could go far with that.
Well, talking of horror films, because you've mentioned that genre a couple of times. When you were growing up, what was the first standout horror film for you?
The first, that's a hard question.
Because you probably grew up in the same era as me, maybe slightly earlier, but so we're talking the John Carpenter's Halloween, The Fog, The Thing. You got Friday the 13th. You've got The Exorcist. All of those early ones. Is there one there that stands out for you?
Actually, it's not a film. It's a TV series. But back when I was growing up, and it was like, in my pre-teens, they played the TV series The Monsters on television. You remember that?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first, that was the first exposure I had to something horror-like. So
that's more of a horror. It's more of a horror comedy, though, isn't it? Really?
It is. But I mean, I do write horror comedies. So, but then
what's the first film that? Well, put it another way. What's the first film that scared the living shit out of you?
What was that? There were a couple. I mean, I was always always very, very into like Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or, what else?
Wormy Spoons has suggested Nightmare on Elm Street. He also wants to know of your 10 scripts, which is best?
Depends on what you like the most. I mean, one's a horror western, one's a, as I said, animal-themed horror comedies, and I mean, I like the very surreal one I've told you about, because that's just so out there.
You mentioned horror western.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? I don't know if you used to see a lot of the same films I did growing up from the video store. You know, a lot of them wouldn't get a cinema release in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, you know, that we had the term straight to video.
Yeah.
And one that I always thought was really good low budget movie. In fact, I interviewed one of the producers of the movie on my channel. It was Ghost Town. You ever see that?
No, I haven't seen that.
It came out in I think it was around 1988.
Oh, okay.
And it's about.
Oh, wait. Oh, I think I have seen it actually.
Yeah, this guy sort of goes back in time.
Yeah.
And the ghost town is like full of undead cowboys and stuff. It's a pretty effective little movie, actually.
Yeah. No, I remember it now.
One of those golden gems that you you find in a video store, you get it home, your expectations of it are pretty low, and actually, you put it on, it's a pretty good film. So might be worth a rewatch before you do your
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah.
Wormy also wants to know: have you seen Shaun of the Dead, which of course is the big British horror?
Yeah. We can't write a zombie comedy without having seen that one first.
Indeed.
But,
are there any? Did you put any secret Easter egg nods to the film in yours?
No, not to Shaun of the Dead.
No,
unless the director, shoehorned it in. But no, I don't think so.
I didn't spot anything. So. Yeah. Okay, so before we wrap up, because we're about an hour and 10 minutes now, where so people can find There's No Such Thing as Zombies on Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. How else can people support you, keep an eye on you? Where can people find you and see what you're up to?
Well, I do have a writer website not website. A writer page on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Then our company has a it's called Bammeke and Haberfellner.com is our company page. Though, as with all websites, this one needs to be updated sooner or later.
Yeah, they get out of date pretty quick. Next thing you know, 5 years gone by, and it's oh my god, I need to change this page.
Yeah. And then you never get around to it, even though, for a time I was web designer, so I should know how to do it. But yeah, so if you want to just read my reviews of other movies, then go to searchmytrash.com.
Searchmytrash.com. That's the sort of almost like your film blog, I suppose.
Pretty much, yeah. Technically, it's not a blog, but it works pretty much the same way.
Let's have a quick look at that.
Yeah. It has grown fairly big over the years.
This is why I love StreamYard. You see, you can just drop these things in. So this is just tell us a bit about this website. What people can find here.
Well, you basically I review films on it, and mostly indie films, and again, with a focus on indie horror, but basically I review almost all sorts of movies. Just because I have such a passion for films in general that I thought I had to put this into words somehow. And back when I started this site, which was in 2005, there weren't many, good, interesting sites around them. They all had like, I don't know, mostly 80 entries, and then whoever did the site lost interest, and it slowly petered away. And yeah, mine has a little bit over 80, so I think I'm like at over 12,000 reviews.
God, yeah, I'm just scrolling through them. There's a huge number of interviews here.
Oh, well. Yeah.
With, I mean, yeah, these are the independent horror film circuit, and I recognize a lot of the titles.
Mostly, yeah.
And some of the names as well. How long have you been doing this for then?
Oh, well, I really started it first offline in 2003, and I just needed to collect enough reviews to make it even interesting. So I did only went on once I had I think 1,000 reviews, so people could at least get into it a little bit. And and that grew since then, and now I'm at over 12,000 reviews, and I don't know, 3,000 interviews or so.
You're still going with it then?
I'm still going with it. Yeah.
That must take up a fair bit of your time, doing that on top of the part-time job and running around trying to find money for films.
It does, but then again, what it also works is I get lots of contacts through this, So basically it's like I can't remember the word, but yeah, I mean it works for me in a way,
I think what you were heading towards was it's a symbiotic process. It works both ways. Yeah. You interview people, you gain contacts, you get exposure for their product, and you're networking effectively.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Well, from one man who's passionate about films to another, I will just mention my book quickly, which I'm going to finish this Thursday. I'm on the last chapter right now.
Awesome.
This is Silver Screen Journeys. So this is 101 plus. It's about 126 movies, and the people and places that made them memorable, with a foreword by the Critical Drinker, who's one of YouTube's biggest film critics. And it's like a journal that takes place from 1974 to 2024, so 50 years.
Okay.
It's this cinema on the cover is the very first cinema I ever went to. It's now a supermarket, sadly. But this is where we saw Oliver the Musical.
All right.
So every entry in the book is not just I went to see this film, but it's also who I saw the movie with, where I saw it, what the cinema was like, what the film meant to me at the time, and what the film means to me now, and any stories attached to that movie. And sometimes it might be a movie that I've taken people to see again at different times in my life, in which case that also gets a mention as well.
Okay.
So it's got things like the first time I went with my father to see a film, the last time I went to see a film with my father, stuff like that. It's going to really resonate with people, I think. So that's coming out on the 1st of December. So I'm just racing to the final proof and edit as we're talking, basically. So a little bit weighed down with work at the moment, but it's all good. Is there anything else you want to plug, promote, or anyone you want to thank before we say goodnight to our viewers?
Well, I want to thank pretty much everyone I've mentioned. I want to thank Eddie Bammeke, Luana Ribeira, Debra, Lynn, Lowry, Lawrence Harvey, Rachel Brownstein, Scott Hillier, Rudolph Barrow, Rami Hilmi, And I'm sure I've forgotten a busload, but I want to thank them all anyways.
Yeah. So anyone who's ever worked with Michael on one of his independent productions, we know how hard it is to get these things made. This is why the Outcast Creative Channel is here. We're here to support independent, passionate creatives like Michael. If you are one of those and you're watching and you've got a project and you'd like to come on and talk about it, it's got to be at some sort of stage where we can talk about it. Not, I've got an idea for a film. Then do reach out, get in touch with me. You can get in touch with me via the Outcast Creative Facebook page or my Twitter account, which is Lance Nielsen at WD. Next up on the channel this Wednesday, we have actress Cindy Pickett coming on. I'm sure a name that will be familiar to Michael, who notably played Ferris Bueller's mother in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but she was also acting in an excellent role across Chris Christopherson in the miniseries America in the 1980s. She's done films for Roger Corman like Deep Star 6, loads of other TV, theatre and films. So she's going to be a fantastic guest, and I can't wait. I can't wait to talk to her. So, yeah, it's going to be good. All right. Well, look, thanks everybody for tuning in. Slightly different time for us. And again, my sincere apologies for starting slightly later than planned. Don't forget what I always say. Always keep in touch with the people that you care about. Tell them that you love them. Give them a call from time to time. Stuff all this text nonsense. People like to get a phone call once in a while. So don't be afraid to call people and check on them. Make sure they're doing okay. That's it from us for today. So we'd just like to thank everyone for watching. And here comes the song.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Where all the misfits and dreamers get innovative. It's film, TV, and theater in the mix. Industry interviews, where ideas get their fix. He's creative, we're creative. How about you? Share your passion, join the crew. At Outcast Creative, we're breaking through. Hang with Lance and the Outcast crew. Hang with Lance and the Outcast crew. Interviews with fellow artists on the rise and reviews that might surprise. Films, TV shows from back in the day. You might just find a hidden gem today. He's creative, we're creative. How about you? Share your passion, join the crew. At Outcast Creative, we're breaking through. Hang with Lance and the Outcast crew. Hang with Lance and the Outcast crew. Filmmakers, comic book creators, stand-up crowd. Actors, musicians, board game designers, be loud. At Outcast Creative, amazing's the word. He even interviewed the legend, Gail Ann Hurd. He's creative, we're creative. How about you? Share your passion, join the crew. At Outcast Creative, we're breaking through. Hang with Lance and the Outcast crew. Hang with Lance and the Outcast crew. So come along, take a chance. Join the Outcast, hang with Lance. Bring your vision, your art, your flair. At Outcast Creative, there's always room to share. Hang with Lance and the Outcast crew.